Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here. Our first Cabral house call of the weekend. Excited to be getting started answering our community's questions, just like we do every single weekend. Hopefully you've been a long-time listener. If you haven't, welcome. We love all of our new listeners as well. Just super excited at the start to this year. We are, almost triple already where we were last year in people listening to the show. So it's all thanks to you. I appreciate you. I don't market the show. You share it with your friends, your family. They end up listening, and that's really what it's all about. So thank you so much. Appreciate just being a part of this grassroots movement that we're all trying to do in order to help each other get and stay healthy. So let's start answering some of your questions. I just go in the order that they come in. This one's from January 10th. This obviously will not debut until... So I get this about a week before. So I record my shows about a week before. This will debut on February 26th. So we're about, 5-6 weeks behind? That's typically what we are. So it takes about 6 weeks to answer your question. All right, Savannah is up next. Savannah says, thanks, Dr. Cabral, for sharing your message. My question today has to do with studying functional medicine. Because I'm a young mom, I don't really have the time or resources to go back to school to become a functional medicine doctor. I'm wondering where you would suggest to start if ultimately that was my goal. I looked into IHP a little bit and also the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. I want something I can be certified in that I can help people and they'll take me seriously. I hope one day to get a higher education, but for now, what would you suggest would be a good place to start? That would take less than 4 years to see results and be able to work with. Hope that makes sense. Thanks again. Oh, happy to help, Savannah. So there's, I love all the health coaching certifications, all the big ones. I really do. So I have no issues with any of them. I actually think they're great, but there's only one or two that enable you to actually work with at-home lab testing that you would consider functional medicine. So, you're not providing medical advice, but you're helping people at the deepest level because you're actually able then to read their food sensitivity, their omega-3, their hormones, the adrenal thyroid hormones, their gut testing, their vitamins, their mineral levels, their heavy metals. So the Integrative Health Practitioner Level 2 does that. And when you sign up for that, people take you very seriously. It's the fastest growing certification in the world. Probably the largest referral base of people go to Integrative Health Practitioners. And that one of the reasons is that we now have about it's crazy to say this, but it's like, I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't look at the stats. I really don't. My team lets me know and I'm like, okay, that's great. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing for the last 6 years and trying to share good information. But it's between 2 and 3 million people a month listen to the Cabral concept. And you hear me all the time talk about the integrative health practitioners, and that's because they are uniquely qualified to help people get to the root cause. And I really recommend that, even probably more so, honestly. You can read a lot of books, then going back to get a 4-year degree in something that you then have to practice with health insurance and all that. So you're not practicing medicine, you're helping people with health education and empowerment to learn their underlying root causes and actually get well. So that's Integrative Health Practitioner Level 2. Now, I would download the brochure and then just talk with them over there. Literally talk with them. It's no obligations. You get in the phone call, you talk with an IHP graduate, get their honest feedback and see what they have to say. But you can get certified as a level 2 between 6 months and a year. And that's pretty phenomenal. You can get certified as a level 1 in 12 weeks to 16 weeks if you really buckle down. And I would say, and 50% of those people, they don't have any health experience, right? They're not previous health coaches or in the health field. So it's the perfect spot. We've got probably 33% of the people in there are moms looking at a second career. And I love that. I think it's phenomenal. That's why one of our taglines is a health coach in every home, right? That's it. So head on over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org for the details, or the short link is ihp.coach. All right. Thien is up next. Or maybe it's Thien. Over the years, from your podcast, I've learned the importance of omega-3s. I have high triglycerides, and I also have POTS. I've noticed a connection of being lightheaded anytime I take a fish oil supplement, but I'm not sure if it thins the blood or causes your blood pressure to become lower, but I seem not to be able to tolerate any brand. Is this common? I know every doctor will throw omega-3s or statins as it means to lower cholesterol, but it isn't working for me. What can I do to lower triglycerides that doesn't involve a supplement? I've tried most without success, like bergamot or Google or RYE, red yeast rice extract, I'm assuming you mean. I exercise, eat clean, and sleep well. I also am postmenopausal, so I don't know if this is a reason for sudden triglycerides. Thank you so much. Good health. I don't know if that's how you spell your name, because if you are postmenopausal, that's probably not your name. Okay, so we're going to delete that to keep it anonymous, or to keep it as this name. So, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I've talked about this on other podcasts. I would definitely look into why on those podcasts you may have POTS. Oftentimes, it is the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, not malfunctioning, but after chronic stress, you're not able to produce as much aldosterone, so you don't retain as much sodium, so you get a lot more lightheaded upon standing. A lot of people just say add some sea salt to your diet. Sure, that does help, but it doesn't fix the underlying root cause, which is rebalancing the nervous system and stress. In terms of high triglycerides are most often from the liver not properly processing fructose, but it could also be from inflammation, as well as like a lack of vitamin E or other nutrients the body needs. That's definitely possible. Okay, but now there's also another tie to that, because if you are, or it says, sorry, I'm premenopausal. Okay, but let's say that you have a lowered level of hormones, female hormones specifically, or even thyroid, it can actually increase cholesterol and triglycerides. So there's all sorts of different reasons why. That's why you definitely need to lab test for sure. I would recommend running the Big Five for sure. And then you look at your omega-3 levels as well. And I want to give you, well, if you can't, I would run them. I really would. I would run the Big Five. If you can't, I run the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism at the very least. All of these are available at stephencabral.com/labs, or with your local integrative health practitioner, or virtual integrative health practitioner. I should start saying that. So that's that. Now, one more. For sure, omega-3s, although anti-inflammatory, could do what? Well, it could lower your blood pressure. 100% it can do that. It can also lower blood sugar to a degree, blood pressure, blood sugar. And it can thin the blood. Okay, all of those. So that can affect lightheadedness, dizziness. But also, you could be sensitive, at least right now, because you have certain histamine issues, and that could be affected by your omega-3s. So you need to start super small if you're going to start with that, and just do the liquid. So do the omega-3 support, and then just do the liquid. You might try like a quarter of a teaspoon. But really, again, what you really want to work on, though, are the underlying root causes. So hopefully that was helpful. Jessica's up next. Hi, I'm writing in about my 5-year-old son who has a chronic cough. This is something that has been going on since he was very young. I'd love to hear what your thoughts on neurological chronic cough, to see if this is a possibility of what is going on, and what you'd recommend from a natural Ayurvedic perspective. Thank you. Okay, so happy to help with this. I just want you to understand that a neurological chronic cough is not a disease. It's a name that they give you, but all it really means is that there's an allergy, a food sensitivity, a inflammatory reflex that's causing the cough, or there's chronic postnasal drip from mold, from food sensitivities, from Th2 dominance. Like, there's always a reason why. So I think I'm kind of answering that question. I would look at mold. I would look at environmental sensitivities. I would look at food sensitivities. Now, again, Jessica, you could be feeding your son all the best foods in the world, but what if they're sensitive to almonds? Or what if they're sensitive to dairy? Well, then this is going to cause that, right? That's a possibility. That's why for children, I definitely recommend doing that food sensitivity test. Again, just go to stephencabral.com/labs. For an IgG perspective, we definitely want to run that. Look to see if it gets worse after certain meals. That would be an IgE perspective. And now, again, chronic cough, if there's an inflammatory relation, and there's also a tad bit of what we would say is like asthma, then you may see an imbalance between calcium and magnesium. That's why I would also run the starter kit. For sure, I'd run the starter kit. So these are all things to look at. These are all the possibilities. And again, there's always an answer. So if we work together in private practice, I would say, when did it start? What precipitated it? Okay, and then we would look at like, oh, well, he got this and went on antibiotics, or this happened, chronic stress, or he had a bout of food poisoning and got diarrhea. And so again, like you can figure it out. There's always an underlying root cause. You can start with the lab testing, or you can work with a practitioner, whatever works best for you. But for sure, you're going to be able to figure this out. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right. Tina's up next. My sweet cousin is a long hauler. Months later, she still has no taste or smell. Is this symptom not going away because of her rain? This was voice text. I know what you meant to write. Because of her rain barrel maybe being full. Is there anything she can do to get it back? Thank you so much. I like rainbow better. Her rainbow being full. That would be cool. Maybe that's the title of part 2 of the rain barrel effect. Yes, I mean, this can be part of it. But the truth is, I actually answered this for you already. So I'm going to point you back to those shows. All right. So we're going to go on to those right now. And the reason why I say this is that they actually came out after you asked this question. So let's go to StephenCabral.com. Let's do /podcasts. Then let's scroll through the images and let's go to the latest virus updates. Okay, so we'll click on that. And then I'm going to give you the shows. Okay, so the one you're going to want to listen to is 4 factors that lead to long COVID or long haulers. And that's episode 2204. So you want to check that one out. And then you want to go to 2148, which is long haulers, viral case studies and solutions. So I give you the solutions. And then I would also talk about, I would listen to 1903 on how to work back in terms of movement and energy. And then I would listen to 1873. All right. And that's COVID, tongue, loss of smell and taste. All right. Those will give you all those answers in much more depth that I could give you right now. All right. But that will explain everything. Kenzie's up next. Kenzie says, hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm not sure if you can answer this one or have any ideas, but I've gotten no answers from my doctors. I've noticed I get nauseous after workouts, not immediately, but later on, or even days after. I was nauseous a ton last year, stopped working out for a few months and it went away. Back to working out and it's back. It almost feels like I have vertigo, nausea. It's all in the head. I feel fine during the workout and all I'm doing is light weights and walking. Any ideas of things I should test for? Am I positive? I am positive for H. pylori. Thank you. Okay. I'm happy to answer this. And yes, I can answer this for sure. I went through this myself back in the day. So we're looking at 2 main things, but it all comes down to dysautonomia. Okay, you probably have never heard of dysautonomia. It doesn't necessarily roll right off the tongue, but I've done podcasts on dysautonomia. Let's actually see. There's probably no way that that will show up in the podcast, but let's look up dysautonomia, and let's just see. Be great if a show popped up. No, it didn't. Okay, so dysautonomia is nervous system imbalance. All right. So when a person is depleted or they're chronically distressed, which by the way, then leads to the depletion, it means that when they work out, what do? They put a greater stressor on the body. That greater stressor on the body weaken their body, weaken the partially the immune system, but weaken the nervous system. That could depress cortisol. It could depress norepinephrine. It could not allow for the same anti-inflammatory. It also could deplete them further of minerals that they don't already have, such as calcium, magnesium, sodium. All right. So those are important factors to look at it. Now you can do, there's so many different variables. I mean, yes. So, all right. Bottom line is I would run the big 5. If you can't run the big 5, I would run the starter kit. And if possible, the stress hormones, mood and metabolism. Probably low cortisol, but I would love to obviously see that, look at that DHEA and cortisol. Okay. So the thing is, you would find what your limit is. So you'd be able to find out, okay, I can walk, but I can't do any weight training. Okay, I can do body weight training, but I can't do light weights. Or I can do light weights, but I can only do 1 set. Meaning like, Kenzie, there's an upper limit to what you can do before your body becomes too stressed. That stress is called a hermetic stressor. If you want to look up my previous podcast on that, you can type in HERM, hermetic. Let me just type this in and I'm going to give you the podcast. Hermetic. I'm more of a visual person than I am trying to look up in the air and figure it out. 2176, 3 ways to overcome exhaustion from exercise. Kenzie, that sounds like the perfect podcast for you right there. 2176. 2071, should you do fasted workouts? 1903, virus and long-term illnesses. These podcasts are going to be right up your alley for sure. So, the 4 phases of exercise I would check out. IHP, I teach this because I've come across this many times, and it really has to do with dysautonomia or sometimes bordering on myalgic encephalomyelitis. And the body is not strong enough right now to stay balanced with that type of hermetic stressor. You might actually feel this way if you were to drink a couple, like 2-3 drinks of alcohol one night. You might feel nauseous, not from the alcohol then 3 days later, but from the stress it put on your body and the depletion of additional minerals. Those minerals can also be used as mineral corticoids for energy. So just kind of keep that in mind and run those labs, and you'll get a plan to rebalance for sure. All right, one more question today. It's from Mariana. Mariana says, why do I get night sweats when I eat sugar? Another great question, right? I expect nothing less from our community. Eating sugar can actually increase estrogen and lower progesterone. Or it can create inflammation, and that inflammation can imbalance hormones as well. So sugar, a lot of people don't know this, red wine can increase estrogen as well. A lot of women I know can get night sweats after drinking a glass or two of red wine. Don't necessarily get it with white or other types of alcohol, but they do with red wine. The histamines can be part of that. There's a lot that goes into it, but obviously the sugar as well. And yeah, that's what I would look at. So that's really what I would look at. Now, there's one lab you can run that's called the stress hormones, mood and metabolism, to look at your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol, and your thyroid levels as well. And that will look at kind of where your balance is already. Because for you, it might be a processing issue. You might just need a product like Estrogen Balance, or you might need a progesterone support product. Again, I don't know. Nobody knows. Like, nobody can tell you what you need unless you were to run that lab, and they could say, oh, okay, here are your levels. If you're premenopausal, you're going to run it on day 19, 20, or 21 of your cycle. Any one of those days is fine. If you're not premenopausal or you don't have a regular cycle, then you're going to run it on the days that you might have the most symptoms of lower mood, maybe bloating, maybe water retention. Any of those would be a fine day to run that too. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Thank you everyone for writing in and for listening. I appreciate you. I'll be back tomorrow answering 6 more of our community's questions. Have an amazing weekend.